everybody for coming. Thank you, thank you. It is great to celebrate the reopening of this wonderful building. And yes, it is great to celebrate that. And we celebrate not only the opening of this great building, but the 100th birthday of the oldest citizen in Templeton, Mrs. Rita Kasich, right here. Oh, no, she does not have white here. That's right. Oh. Anyway, folks, my name is Cindy Shea, and I run the Senior Center here in Templeton. Did I just lose that? No, there it is. I run the Senior Center with these two beautiful ladies right here, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Elaine LeBlanc, and I am the transportation dispatcher here and the administrative assistant. So if you need a ride, just call me.
That's a nice picture.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kaylee McLaughlin. I am the activities coordinator here. So if you're signing up for anything, you'll be talking with me most likely. If you have any ideas for things you would like to see around here, feel free to let us know. We are always looking for ideas. And back to Cindy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay. All right. I think that it is fitting that we celebrate the reopening today. And it's not just the reopening and a 100th birthday, but it's a celebration also of having been kept away from our loved ones and our family and our friends for all those months because of COVID-19. And I think that's a good reason to celebrate, that we can once again get together with our loved ones. We no longer have to miss those important milestones in their lives. I don't know about all of you, but I missed my son and his wife had a little baby, and I didn't get to see that baby until she was almost crawling. And so it is nice to be able to celebrate that. Hopefully this pandemic is soon going to be behind all of us. But there's some, we live in hope. That's right, Ralph. That's right. So we are honored here today by some very special guests, and I just want to mention who they all are. First of all, Danny Blute. If you would just as I say your name, if you wouldn't mind just standing up and giving us a wave. Danny Blute and Ivana. They have come from the Worcester County Sheriff's Office. They are part of the Community Outreach Department. And we thank you for being here, Danny and Ivana. We're waiting on Senator Goby, our Massachusetts State Senator Ann Goby, and our Massachusetts State Representative Susanna B. Whips. They will be here shortly. But we are also honored by the presence of Adam Lamontagne. He's our town administrator. And not just one, not just two, but I think the entire select board for this entire town. That is an incredible honor that they would come for this. Mike Curry, he is the chairman of the board, the select board. Terry Griffins, Jeff Bennett, and Tim Toth. Thank you so much for being here. And we also have Brian Tangway from the Narragansett Historical Society. So thank you for being here. And Holly Young from the administrative assistant for the town. She's one busy lady. Does an awesome job. Have I missed somebody? Have I missed anybody?
Yourself. Jackie.
Oh! And the community services director and my boss. very quickly to dearly love, Jackie Prime, Community Services Director for this town. You know, can I say, I'm a Templeton wannabe, but you guys, you are well cared for in this town. You've got some wonderful people at the helm in this town of Templeton. Okay, so which brings me to the next thing. I wanted to introduce a woman who is just generously kind and wonderful woman, a woman who has put in more volunteer hours than can even be counted, I think. And she is the president of the board of directors for the Council on Aging and for the Senior Center. It's Jan. Jan LaFay. Come on up. Jan is going to lead us in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. And thanks to the musical talents of Dennis D'Ambroise.
D'Ambrosio.
No, it's not D'Ambroise.
Oh,
D'Ambroise. He's going to lead us in the singing of the national anthem.
And you all will join me.
Of course. And we'll all stand up.
And we will all stand up, you're right.
Oh, yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay!
Please remain standing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'll try, yes.
Welcome to the Templeton Senior Community Center.
I don't know if I can hear you.
It's on.
It's a little bit closer to your mouth.
Thank you for being here to help us honor Rita Kasich with the Boston Post cane and to dedicate the Templeton Senior Community Center and the Stephen M. Brewer Dining Hall, which you are in now. We're lucky to have such a beautiful senior center and our wonderful staff, Jackie, Kaylee, Elaine, and Cindy. They do a wonderful job here. But the senior center wouldn't be all it is without all our volunteers. We really appreciate the volunteers that we have here. And we know volunteers make the world a better place. So I'd like to thank all of our volunteers for all they do. You're very appreciated. We have one volunteer who is a long-standing volunteer who has retired from her volunteering. So we'd like to recognize her today and present her with a certificate and token of our appreciation. She spent many hours here going through the Templeton street list to compile, compile a database of the Templeton seniors. It was a huge job. She's been the historian She made the scrapbooks that you can see out in the lobby. She cared for plants here. She sent birthday cards, and she was our receptionist for many, many years. Linda Thompson, who is retiring.
All right, Linda.
She's retiring. She's retiring so that she can enjoy the center now, come in and do the activities that we have. Linda, we'd like to present you with a certificate, the Templeton Senior Community Center. Volunteers build a better world. This certificate is presented to Linda Thompson in appreciation for many hours of volunteer work at the Senior Center. And a little something for you. Thank you so much. You want to say something? You wanna say something? Enjoy your visits here. I'm going to introduce the next person.
Yeah, I am.
We really are so grateful to our volunteers. We actually have, what is it, Kaylee? It's like maybe 39 volunteers we needed for this reopening. And we were able to get 39 people to step forward and say, I can help. Whether it be cutting the beautiful cake that Mike Curry brought, or helping Terry serve all the ice cream that she brought. We had 39 people step forward and say, I can help with that. So we are very, very grateful for all of our volunteers. And at this time, I'd like to invite Jackie Prime to come to the mic. And Jackie is Templeton's Community Services Director.
Thank you, Cindy, and a warm welcome to all of you. Sometimes when very young children visit the library for the first time, they stand and stare. They're overwhelmed at all they're seeing. And sometimes they'll come up to me and ask, do all of these books belong to you? And I always answer, actually, all of these books belong to you, and to your family, and to your neighbors, and your classmates. They belong to all of you. And then they really look shocked. Just like the library, your beautiful senior center belongs to all of you. All of the visitors, volunteers, supporters, and advocates, past and present, that make it much more than a town building. It's so wonderful to have these rooms feel alive again with the hum of conversation and fellowship and the hope to build on all you've created here going forward. So welcome back to all of you. And I'd like to introduce your next speaker, Adam Lamontagne, our town administrator.
Well, thank you, Jackie. Jackie's been doing a phenomenal job as our community services director here for the town. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work, to say the least, and she's been there through thick and thin and through the food pantry, making sure the services are provided there, making sure all this programs we have are in place, and at the same time doing all she does for the library and all the other community services we have in our community. So thank you, Jackie, for your service. If I can, I want to make note, Rita, you look great. And you know, I'm happy to be here to see you receive this cane, and the board members, I can say, the select board members made it a point to get the policy put in, and I'm sure Mrs. Griffiths will cover that for the policy with the Mr. Tangway to make this a reality moving forward for our community. But I want to say, and Linda, thank you for all of you've done. Now, we're here. We are here, and I'll tell you, the first year taking over as town administrator and going through a pandemic was very challenging, and you can only imagine. I was fortunate to have very good people on our response team, from our chair of the select board to our to our emergency management director, to our Board of Health agent. But we finally made it here, and I'm happy that we can finally have these parties in person. I do want to recognize our state partners for the work that they did, going back to Senator Brewer, now Senator Goby, who at the time was a representative, and now Representative Whips, for the work that they did to secure funds for this beautiful place that we are in today. But I do want to give thank you to Cindy Shea, the staff here, Elaine, and Kaylee for all that they do. Because I think it's a priority, not only for, as me as town administrator, but I work with a great board. They're all here. They do tremendous work, and I could count on them for not only just preserving our public institutions, but to getting, like, our library, for example, making sure that we followed all the proper procurement and went through the steps and got that library roof done. Needless to say, we were surprised to find out there was a second roof there, but there was some, which required some change orders, but we were able to do that and get that roof done. And I've been in talks with the board on getting the library roof here, working with them to make that a reality, because that's certainly something that's important, and without a good foundation or a good roof, it could spoil the atmosphere for all. So with that, one more thing, quality of life in the community is very important to the board and to me personally. You'll see these blighted properties we have that I think a lot of you probably remember certain ones, burnt down building. We're working on addressing those. We're acquiring those through tax title, and we're taking the steps necessary to move forward on cleaning out these problem properties and making our community a better place for all. So once again, thank you, and if I can have the honor of presenting, or introducing, I should say, our chairman of the select board, Mr. Mike Curry. So thank you for your time, and Mike, if you could come up here and give a few words. Mike has better notes than me. I just wrote a couple of words down, so my speech isn't going to be as good as his. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Adam. 26 years in uniform, I think I've learned how to project my voice. Everyone can hear me all right? Gail, am I good in the back? Outstanding. So friends and colleagues, I'm Mike Curry, as they said. I'm the chair of the select board. And the first part of any speech is you wind up giving thanks to everybody that's in the room. So first, Adam already alluded that Senator Goby and Representative Whips are here with us today. Thank you so much for making the trip out here. Looks like you carpooled together. That's very green of you.
Not quite, but
Not quite, all right.
So we coordinated our arrival.
Perfect.
She has a very green car though. No.
That's excellent.
Electric deal.
An electric Mustang, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, that's you. That's the way you got to go. If it's got to be electric, you got to go for the Stang.
Absolutely.
But thanks. There are so many people to say thanks in the room. Elaine, Kaylee, Jackie. I've forgotten your first name. All right. Our musical entertainment today. This is in no certain order. We've got the Board of Selectmen over here. We've got Jan and part of the Council on Aging. Friends of Templeton Elders. Gail is here, representative of that fine organization that's been in town for quite a few years. Brian Tangway from the Historical Society. Holly, Linda, congratulations on that certificate and many, many years to this community. I was chatting with a couple people in the hall beforehand. Our volunteer army, and I've got some prepared remarks, and I refer to our volunteer army, is not 39 large. It is as scalable as we can do in a community, and it goes beyond the borders. It goes well beyond the borders. Anyone that's ever lived in this town has that heart, that place in their heart for the community, and they wind up coming back, especially during a pandemic. So it's very important to recognize not only our Templeton and our village volunteers, but everyone that has chipped in from the greater Worcester County area, or even from beyond there. So thank you and welcome to our wonderful Senior Community Center. Special thanks again to Narragansett Historical Society for the invitation and co-hosting this grand event. Cindy Shea and Brian Tangway, as well as Terry Griffiths, for making this happen. They've worked very hard to make sure that this day was possible. I've already extended the gratitude for our state partners, Susanna, and it's always a great pleasure to have you and host you out here in this community. Let's see. I have a very, very special and belated happy birthday to Mrs. Rita Kazik, who turned 100 years of age this past May 8th. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And Ralph, thank you so much for everything that you do for Rita. We really appreciate that. We do have a very special presentation, and I know that we'll talk a little bit about the history of the Boston Post-Cane, but that's a significant thing that this town is undertaking again, is really recognizing our community members. But like we said, we're here to accomplish two great things today: to celebrate the grand reopening of our Templeton Senior Community Center and to restart a New England tradition that started over 100 years ago. It's older than you, Rita. First, not only has Mrs. Kazik has become our newest centenarian, but she's the only centenarian in town. And so for that achievement, we have recently reinvigorated and codified a policy to recognize our oldest resident. As a community, we wish to place importance on resilience, health, and for choosing our town as a good place to live and raise your family. Congratulations on this achievement, Mrs. Kazik. And second, I wish to say how proud I am of the Community Services Department, and specifically with our relatively new staff in this Senior Community Center. Even a pandemic could not extinguish the spirit and drive of our staff and this army of volunteers. It is such a great feeling to have a premium service like this in our community. Again, I wish to congratulate the Senior Community Center on your grand reopening and to pledge today and always to support its mission and our valued senior community. Thank you very much and stay safe. If I paid attention to my itinerary, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed Massachusetts State Senator Ann Go.
We're gonna come together.
We're gonna both of you, our state senator, and our representative Ann Goby and Susanna Whips.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I know, we kind of throw you off. Sorry, Terry, we throw everybody off.
See them work together.
Yeah, that's right.
Team.
Do you want the
And Rita,
microphone?
you jumped up out of that chair faster than I ever do. Good job there, lady. We got a quorum over here, don't we? We won't tell. It's only being recorded. That's not a problem. I'm standing to this. I can't see over this. Why do you guys get such big? They get some. Look at the size of this thing. I get behind it and I look like a Pez dispenser. Remember those? Jesus.
She's got your jokes.
Right? It's good to see you, lady. We go back a long way, Cindy and I, on with all the Heats folks, right? That goes
Hearts
back.
for Heat,
The Hearts for Heats. They all know about that, right?
Most of them, yeah.
So Cindy and I met years and years ago because she started this Hearts for Heats program in Princeton at the time, right?
Yeah.
That had started there, and not to get totally off subject, but it's kind of what communities do. Because people would say to me, well, what the heck, why does Princeton need a Hearts for Heat to collect money? You know, they think that it's a community, but people need help everywhere. And during this pandemic, we saw it. I mean, Susie and I, and the calls that you received, the calls, Adam, that came in, that the Board of Selectmen received over and over again. And one of the first places to be able to react were the senior centers and our councils on aging. And even though they had to close their doors for a while, the phone calls didn't stop coming in. You know, people don't magically stop needing things just because a door's closed. In fact, they need it even more. And so I'm really happy, and I know that Susie is too, that when we get an opportunity to come out to the senior centers, because of the great things that happen in the community centers, it's so necessary. You know, and you know, at one time there was all this kind of stigma. It was like, oh, I'm not going down to the senior center. I'm not old enough for that. You know, but they've become community centers.
They become cool.
And I guess, and especially as I'm pushing 60, it gets cooler and cooler every year. But there's no question with that, the importance that they are for a community, and being a refuge in many cases, and about the only place that the people feel comfortable, that you're with friends, and you know that people care about you. And that means an awful lot, right, in today's society, that you have people that care. And that is one thing that you can say about Templeton and its villages. This is a community that cares. They care an awful lot about people. And when there are problems, you roll up your sleeves and make sure it gets done. Even with this center. This has been a long time, you know, we've had openings, we've had closings, and openings again here, right? And it's a long haul event, and you've stuck with it for the long haul. So I'm really pleased to be with you today and have an opportunity just to say thank you, and to thank you for keeping things going, and the revitalization that happens through our community centers, and how important it is. And it's a real good sign for that we get them back on the right track. You know, when the doors open again to the community centers, I think that's a good sign for the rest of the community as well. So I appreciate it. I know we're going to make a little presentation in a minute, but I'm going to turn this over to my good friend Susanna. I'll get out of your way.
I am happy to be here today, and just throughout the pandemic, the work that people have done has been so moving. I mean, I made several visits to this food pantry as well as several others throughout my district, and there was a lot of need, and everybody stepped up. And to come down here and see that little food pantry downstairs jam-packed with not only food, but people with the biggest hearts and the biggest smiles packing things up and helping their neighbors. And it's so important to have that community. And when we talk about community, not just Templeton and the villages, we've got people from Sheriff Lou's office here today, which, you know, the sheriff has done a great job in many of our senior centers across the state, bringing resources, produce, help with painting, and we saved a ton of money at the Athol Senior Center having his teams come in and help us out. And it is a partnership. We can't just be alone. And I'm a member of the Mental Health, Substance Use, and Recovery Committee. And when we talk about mental health in elders, COVID really took a job on some folks. I mean, senior citizens, loneliness and isolation leads to poor eating habits. It leads to poor sleep habits, lack of mental stimulation, and those are all things that a senior center brings to somebody's life. And so to have you reopened and to have all of the seniors in this region be able to come and enjoy and be checked on and be cared about, it just really moves me, and I'm happy to be here today and happy to celebrate with all of you. And again, Senator Goby and I, we love representing this area. We're so fond of the people. We've gotten a lot of calls over the last year and a half, more so than usual. Today we've been dealing with washed out roads and bridges, and you know, haven't had to water my flowers for a few weeks, but hoping we'll be able to make sure that some resources, especially with federal money coming in, we're going to work to make sure that people have what they need and the resources are available, and that this region is not forgotten with a lot of the infrastructure, because we need that. We need the ambulances to be able to get to our homes. We need to be able to get to doctor's appointments. There's a lot we need, and we're going to work really hard over the next year, 18 months, to make sure that our infrastructure is taken care of. So I'm thrilled to be here today. And Rita, we are so happy to see you. And on Friday this week, I'm going to Rita Savoy's house in Athol, and she's 103.
That's
On
right.
Friday. So you gotta stick around and catch up with our Athol, Rita.
I'll do it.
All right. All right. Well, on behalf of the Massachusetts House of Representatives, we wanted to recognize you being the recipient of the Boston Post cane today, in recognition of being the town of Templeton's eldest citizen.
Oh, God
So,
bless
and
you.
There
Senator
you
Tobin
go.
has one.
Being the most mature citizen, should we say that? I don't know. Well, you should say it, right? It's but also for your 100 years of providing the finest example of love and caring to your family and friends. So congratulations.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And Terry,
And
I
we
think,
will,
I think we're bringing Terry.
Yes, Terry, next to the mic.
Pictures after. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Representative. I appreciate your time. This made sense to me this morning, so I'm going to roll with it. There are timeless truths that apply to all ages and things written to meet the circumstances of the times. In essence, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 32, quoted from the Berean Study Bible, states, "You are to rise in the presence of the elderly, honor the aged, and forever fear your God. I am the Lord." This quote speaks for itself. On June 23, 2021, the Select Board voted unanimously to adopt Policy 2021-01, titled Boston Post Cane Award, which brings us here today. At this time, I'd like to ask Mike Curry to sign and make it official.
Under this pen. And here we go, approved and adopted this 23rd day of June, and signed and done.
Thanks, Mike. And we do have a copy for Brian for the Historical Society and for you, Cindy. And I'll give those to you after because I noticed they're not stapled. So, anyway, to move on. One requirement that was written into the policy is to call in mind a moment of silence for the previous recipient. Would you please all bow your heads with me for a few seconds in honor of Josie Rucky, who was 105 when she passed. Thank you. Now, to the person who made this all possible, giving me a phone call or reaching out to me through a text, I'd like to take this time to introduce Brian Tangway. All of his unsung efforts in keeping Templeton's history relevant and current, and for keeping our history alive. And at this time, Brian.
So the problem with talking last is everybody stole my lines. So all the things that everybody said before, that's what I was going to say.
You can finish my joke.
You did finish your joke. You just didn't have the drum roll. So a little bit of the history about the Boston Post cane is, obviously it started in 1909, and the problem was we gave it to the oldest citizen of the town, and she usually kept it, lost it, forgot it, and most of them disappeared. Of course, it wasn't given to a woman till quite some time later. It was always given to a man. But now, as we know, most women outlive us men. So you guys are getting the Boston Post canes, and none of the men get it anymore. So it's quite a change in our history, which is being noted. One of the reasons that the Narragansett Historical Society was given the cane for safekeeping was, again, that it was misplaced or lost. Out of the 700 plus canes that were given out throughout the New England towns, not cities, there's only 428 known to still be in existence. Some of them are copies, but most of them are the original. And they were made out of ebony wood from Africa, and the head on it is solid 14-karat gold. So they're not cheap to reproduce. And most of them are made in inferior materials, but it's still the thought that counts, you know. So this is a great honor for you, but it's also a great honor for us to be sharing this with you, to show our appreciation. And by the way, 40 years from now, it's going to be mine. So
it's a tradition, it should be kept up.
Yeah, and that's where it was missing in Templeton for, I think it was 25 years. And then when the selectmen found it, they came running over to us and said, here, you take it, you know, we don't want to be responsible. So we had a volunteer build the case for us out of black walnut, and now it's on display at the Narragansett Historical Society, and we get to present it. We also get to take it back. So you can't keep it. So when we gave it to, who had it before? Josie. When we gave it to Josie, we posed for a picture, and I put my foot on her hip, and I was pulling it to take it back because she didn't want to give it up. Yeah. Also, I own Tangway Jewelers, and I'm an engraver, so I engraved a lapel pin for you to wear, and it has the exact same wording that's on the Boston Post cane. So we had that. Should I present it now, or is it with everybody? Okay, so.
She's not old enough for a cane.
She used to take her watch there and get it fixed.
So we made a copper copy of the top of the cane that has everything on it, and it's a pin, so you can use it on your lapel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's Brian's anyway, I know. He's the jeweler. You used to take your watch there and get a battery spray in it.
That's the original?
Gardener.
So this is the original Boston Post cane.
Shape it's in. Wow.
And a lot of businessmen all over the country loved this cane so much that they had one made for themselves. And it was a Lucas Baker in East Templeton. He made one, and we have it on display in the museum. It's the exact same copy. So he saw it and said, well, I might not live long enough to get it, so I want one. The other one was Doc Holliday. He made his self-known as walking around with the Boston, looked like the Boston Post cane. So this was the exact same style that they did. And on it, it says, presented by the Boston Post to the oldest citizen of Templeton, Mass, to be transmitted. So with that, on behalf of the Narragansett Historical Society, I'm sure they're going to want you to stand and take pictures.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're going to stand.
Oh, thank you.
So we got some over there.
Stand. Oh,
So you hold it now, it's yours.
oh, thank you.
So now we're going to go over to those people. They're all taking pictures, so look over there. Look out there.
Rita, stay away from everyone with that stick. You used to go get batteries.
Yeah, you came to the store, yeah? Long time ago. You're welcome. Congratulations. So it's a nice tradition, and I hope you hold on to it for a long time. And I'll come calling. That's right. So now we also had a volunteer that came forward, and before, besides having the pin, we used to have a little tiny replica that you would take home with you. But he didn't see that fit. So this is hand-turned by Rainey Gogan, and it's all handmade.
Rabbits.
And you put a Massachusetts coin on the head.
Oh, very
Oh,
nice.
that's so cool.
Now you have a Massachusetts coin and a replica of the Boston Post cane,
Yeah, you get to keep
and
that
that's
one.
yours.
Give it back the other one. Give up the other one, Rita.
Hold them up.
Be careful.
They're both for you. Congratulations. Thank you.
We need a picture for the senior newsletter.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Yeah, you gotta have that too.
Picture, I'm sure.
You want to have it all
For the
over
newsletter. Absolutely.
The nice thing about today too is that so many of you came out together. Everybody joined us, from the selectmen to the senior senator to representatives, senators. So that really makes it even that much more special. In the past, we've had ceremonies where the president of the Historical Society, one of the selectmen, and a family member showed up in somebody's living room to present the cane. And you take a picture and put it in the Gardner News, and it was kind of a simple ceremony. So this really makes it feel like a much nicer,
Much nicer.
and it's gonna. It looks like it's gonna continue because of the enthusiasm of our selectmen. Where, in of course, the Historical Society will always back you guys up 100%.
Yeah.
All right, Rita.
Hit him on the head if you
No, on the butt, on the behind. Hit him on the head, he'll get a bump.
That's a replica. That's yours, it's a replica, you keep that.
I have to walk with that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And Rita, that fits you perfectly. And we have roses for you from the senior center too.
Those are beautiful, but she's not gonna be able to hold that.
No, she's not. It's pretty heavy, so we'll put them over here for you, and then you can take them.
Okay, there. I can say what I want. Okay. Each one of you,
Keep it clean.
God bless you and take care of you.
Thank you, Rita.
And thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Rita.
I'm gonna be like Mike. I can project my voice for all my years in uniform as well. Rita, it's an honor to be here and recognize you for your birthday and being our Centenarian. And to all the volunteers, I've said this before during a select board meeting, and it bears repeating now. We don't compensate our volunteers for everything they do, not because they don't deserve it, but because they're irreplaceable. And I truly mean that. I thank you, one and all.
This is wonderful. There's nothing like a good rousing round of happy birthday. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for being here today. You can linger in this room a bit longer if you would like to. And we can, Dennis is going to continue to play some music, so enjoy the music. We are going to be serving cake and ice cream. Oh, it's already being served, so feel free to come and have some cake and ice cream. And the rest of the building, do check out the other rooms because we have activities on display, which means we have about 30 some odd programs that we run out of this center, either that we run now or that we're planning to run in the next weeks to come. And these are activities that range from creative kinds of programs to educational programs to exercise programs, all things that you can participate in here at the Senior Center. And let's see, I think that's it. Thank you everybody for being here. This has been a wonderful celebration. Thank you.